Tonight, as an international emergency is declared over the coronavirus, local councillors gather to show support for Chinese Canadian businesses.
This is not the time to be scared. This is not the time to stay at home. This is not the time to say, I think I'm going to catch. No, you're not.
Some restaurant owners say fear about the virus is spreading faster than the virus itself. Plus, it was day one in the high-profile murder trial for the man accused of killing Tess Ritchie. And it's Kyle Lowry's night to shine. The best Raptor on the court gets his 6th record-breaking invitation to the All-Star game. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. On a night, the World Health Organization declares the coronavirus an international emergency, and the U.S. increases its travel advisory for China. Here in Toronto, our medical health officer says that doesn't change anything for this city, and the risk remains low. However, many Chinese Canadian businesses are concerned about discrimination. That's why many came out tonight to speak in support of the community. Angelina King has more.
Just take it. Go ahead. Hey, hello?
The prank calls, about 5 a day, started coming in this week.
They order like strange things like the bad soup and like some special variables, and even though one is asked me to like shut down the store.
The Markham restaurant just so happens to share the same name as the coronavirus epicenter, all because of a popular style of noodles. Hot and dry Wuhan noodles are a traditional dish from that city. The manager says the restaurant is usually busy, but since the first coronavirus case was confirmed in Toronto, business has taken a hit.
Now it may be just like less than half than before.
That's why Toronto's mayor and some city councillors came to this Chinese restaurant in Scarborough for what they call a solidarity dinner to show their support for Chinese Canadian businesses.
In the absence of any advice that suggests we should be doing anything to alter where we eat or who we talk to or who we sit next to at work or who goes to school with who, we should carry on with our lives, be careful, wash our hands and all the things we're supposed to do all the time, but don't let it trespass into something that is very unfair to a community of people.
There's no need to panic.
Councillor Jim Karajanis hosted the dinner and says he's received inappropriate emails about the Chinese community.
And to the people that are stigmatizing this community, I got news for them. Please be quiet.
And in Chinatown, the negativity is felt.
I saw a lot of racist comments on Twitter.
Chan Lee still had plenty of tables to serve over the lunch hour, but says business has slowed down.
Fewer pedestrians walking on the streets and like fewer people dining in. More takeout, actually, more delivery service.
Who's trying to catch that Wuhan virus though?
Videos like this targeting Wuhan noodles only makes it worse. But staff say they're grateful to loyal customers posting positive online reviews to combat all the negativity. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
And health officials here saying there are just those 2 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Ontario.
In terms of the 2 cases, the first one remains in hospital and is in stable condition. The second one remains at home in self-isolation and is feeling well.
You know, those two people, a husband and wife in Toronto, returned recently from the Chinese city at the epicenter of the outbreak. Public health officials say they have contacted the people who sat near them on the plane and will monitor them for 2 weeks. Now, some have been tested. The province is still waiting on the results for 27 people while clearing 38 other suspected cases. Well, the family of Tess Ritchie was in the courtroom today as the man accused in her death listened to the case against him. Kaylin Schlatter is charged with first-degree murder in the 2017 killing of Ritchie. Adam Carter has more.
Members of Tess Ritchie's family wiped away tears in court today as Crown Attorney Beverly Richards gave her opening address. Richards told the jury this case is about a young woman who was sexually assaulted and brutally strangled by a man she just met. Schlatter sat stoically at his lawyer's table as the evidence unfolded. Ritchie was last seen in November of 2017 after a night out at the Church Street nightclub Cruise and Tangos. Her mother found her body nearby a few days later. It was discovered the day before what would have been her 23rd birthday. Police say Ritchie met Schlatter on the street after she and a friend left the bar. Richards told the jury they will seek security camera footage of Ritchie and Schlatter together. She also said DNA testing was conducted on Ritchie's clothing after her body was found. Tests revealed that semen and saliva found on her clothes were a match for Schlatter. Richards said the man who left Tessa's body in a heap at the bottom of a stairwell was Kalen Schlatter. The Crown also revealed that after he was arrested, Schlatter was placed in a holding area with some undercover cops. Richards told the jury that Schlatter spoke almost non-stop with one of the officers. Court heard Schlatter boasted that he has slept with over 40 girls and that girls begged to sleep with him. Richards said Mr. Schlatter also told police that he likes a challenge and sometimes you have to push the boundaries with women to see where it goes. Most of court's afternoon session was spent going over photos around the area where Ritchie's body was found. Her sister is expected to start testifying tomorrow. Adam Carter, CBC News, Toronto.
It appears Peel police have someone under arrest tonight in the murder of an innocent man who was killed as he was driving on the 410 last year. Tomorrow, Peel Chief Nish Duryappa will speak about 3 shootings that took place in just 10 days in Mississauga and Brampton back in November. One of them happened on the 410 and killed Jason Ramkishan. Investigators said the shooters mistook him for someone else, adding they believe a man shot just over a week later, also on the 410, was the target the gunmen were actually seeking. We'll have full details on this story tomorrow right here on CBC Toronto News. And one person is in hospital tonight after a fire at a Toronto community housing building. It happened just before 6 a.m. this morning. Firefighters rescued a victim from a unit on the 3rd floor of a building near Queen and Broadview. Paramedics say that person suffered some serious injuries as a result of smoke inhalation. And the OPP detailing today what they call a once-in-a-decade drug bust. After a 9-month investigation into organized crime, police arrested a dozen people, both here in Ontario and Quebec. Kimberly Molina has the details.
The first series of raids happened southwest of Toronto in Burlington and Stony Creek, Ontario. Dozens of officers were involved. A day later, officers executed search warrants in the Ottawa area and Gatineau, Quebec. Police say the raids targeted individual high-level suppliers who sold to mid-level drug dealers and street gangs. But what makes this seizure so important is not only who the men are, but how pure the drugs are. Officers seized a large quantity of cocaine, methamphetamine, ecstasy, and cannabis.
I've never seen quality like this ever. In the late 90s, it was rare to find cocaine above 20% purity on the street. And now you're seeing cocaine this is in the high 90s. Some of this is 98% pure cocaine.
Donnelly says these drugs likely came across the border, and they would have been resold many times before reaching the streets.
It would be stepped on by each level that buys it. It would be cut in half and then sold, and then cut in half again and sold until it reaches 25, 30%, and then sold on the street. So each kilogram of cocaine turns into 3-4 kilograms.
The 12 accused men range in age from 18 to 51. They're charged with everything from possession of property obtained by crime to trafficking in a controlled substance. Kimberly Molina, CBC News, Ottawa.
Carla Kennedy's here with her first look at the forecast, and that map behind you shows it. This has been a warmer than usual January.
Yeah, I know, Mike. You know, we all feel it, but here are the statistics that actually back it up in terms of the climatology for this month. So you take your daily high, that's what I did, and then I look at what the temperature was, our high for that day, what's seasonal, and where we were actually at. Anywhere that you see here in orange, we were above average. Anywhere you see in blue were the only days where the daily high was actually a little below seasonal. So of 30 days, you can see 27 of those, we had our temperature on the mild side of things. Now, speaking of that, yes, we're going to see even milder air pushing in. It begins over the weekend, but we're really going to feel it into Monday, and I'm going to have more details on that coming up. I do just want to talk to you about a weak trough that's kind of passing through, so we could get into some flurry activity. We're certainly going to continue to see quite a bit of cloud cover into the day tomorrow, and tomorrow afternoon is that enhanced chance of seeing some scattered flurries moving through. Then, late day Saturday, this next system is going to be moving in I don't really see much in terms of accumulations, not much there, but we will see our winds eventually shift to the southwest and start to bring those temperatures up. It's a cool one tonight, though. -7, feeling like -10. Tomorrow afternoon, we're looking at a high right around the freezing mark. And again, maybe some scattered flurries, nothing too significant, Mike.
Okay, thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
After a one-day strike in Durham region today, there'll be no school tomorrow for elementary students in Peel region and Hamilton as a series of rotating strikes by public elementary teachers continues. However, talks between that union and the government will continue in the morning. That's the third straight day of bargaining. But as Natalie Nanowski tells us, even though talks continue, there doesn't appear to be a resolution in sight.
Every other sign at this picket line in Durham was about the importance of special education.
I have several students in my class with special needs, and they do not have support, and we have had our CERT teams fight for support for them, and the ministry has just said there is no funding for that.
We've seen a number of our special education resource teachers lose those positions.
These teachers also want to maintain transparent hiring practices and preserve the current kindergarten model. Education Minister Stephen Lecce has publicly committed to the full-day kindergarten program, but the union says it hasn't received that in writing.
And the silence is just really taking us to a point of frustration, and it's starting to build this tension between government and our education system.
Both Lecce and Premier Doug Ford have repeatedly said they support teachers. Their unions are the problem.
Our message to the educator and to the parent is that if the case is that they need more investment in class, that they want more support for students, I agree, and I'd urge them to turn to their union leadership who is making the case that additional incremental dollars actually should go into compensation.
We are our unions. We elect those leaders.
A press conference today organized by teachers from different boards stressed you can't be for one and against the other.
It is a terrifying and brave and courageous thing to do, to go on strike. But when we're told that we're only out there because we've been bullied into this action, it's quite frankly insulting.
If a deal isn't reached by tomorrow, elementary teachers say they'll walk off the job again. And some parents who joined the teachers on the picket line today say they don't mind.
You know, a few days of inconvenience on a strike is nothing to how bad it will get if an already underfunded system is cut back further.
Another strike for Tuesday is also planned. That's for public high school teachers in New York and Halton. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, as for the other unions, Natalie mentioned that public high school teachers will host that one-day strike on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Ontario's Catholic teachers will be getting back to the negotiating table next week. That announcement was made this evening by the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association. They say they're pleased to be getting back to negotiations, but the union warning the government that their proposed cuts, quote, simply cannot stay on the table. Now, although those talks will resume this coming Monday, the union still plans another province-wide strike for next Tuesday as well.
Hello, my friend. My name is Zimbo.
Well, coming up, could this robot be a game changer for kids with brain injuries? I'll tell you about that after the break. So here's a story about a novel use of technology. A Toronto organization is running a pilot project using robots as companions for kids who could use a friend. It's bringing robots into the homes of seriously ill children who can't go to school. Lorenda Redekop explains.
Hello, my friend. My name is Zimbo.
This little robot and others like it will go out to families like this one.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Ethan.
This is the first time 7-year-old Ethan Hayes and his big sister Chloe are meeting Zembo.
I love cookies. Do you like cookies too? Yes.
Their little friend also tests their math skills. Ethan and Chloe don't always agree on the answer.
1, 2, 1, 2. Liam will add 1 large egg.
Ethan was diagnosed with brain cancer a year ago. It's been a tough time. 5 surgeries, radiation treatments in the U.S., chemotherapy at sick kids. Plus, he couldn't go to school.
He just is a warrior, and he got through the year. So we're happy that he's back at school last week, and it's exciting about this robot and the opportunities for other kids in the same situation.
The charity High Lifeline Canada already has services for families going through a serious illness and thought robots could fill an extra need.
Perhaps help a child who might be home from school for a long time, might not be able to see his friends or family because of isolation. Hopefully help him with his homework and just be around, tell him stories, play games, dance.
It's our solo time.
Chloe's a fan of the dancing, and you never know what a robot might say next.
Shake your butt with me. Shake your butt with me.
He seems to get the thumbs up from the whole family.
It's good to have a tool where a little buddy, and he can learn with the robot, and it's exciting for the opportunities that can come about. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think the robot can be your little buddy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want him to come back?
Mm-hmm.
Zambo's definitely welcome to return.
Anytime.
Anytime Zambo wants to come back, he can come.
Anytime.
Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, was it ever in doubt? The Raptors' greatest player is heading to the All-Star game for a 6th time in a row. We'll have the details after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
For a sixth straight season, Kyle Lowry is heading to the All-Star game. The NBA named him one of 7 Eastern Conference reserves today for the February 16th game in Chicago. He'll join Pascal Siakam, who was named a starter last week. Now, Lowry is the first player in NBA history to be named to 6 All-Star teams after having been named to none in his first 8 seasons in the league. And Lowry showed why he's an all-star as the Raptors took on the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Let's pick things up in the third. Lowry takes a pass from Fred VanVleet, cashes it in for 3. Fourth quarter, Raps up by 7. Lowry knocks it away from Kevin Porter Jr. and Siakam is left alone in the corner. Gets the nice 3 here. Cavs, though, not going quietly. Kevin Love buries his own 3 to make it a 1-point game. But with just over a minute to play, Lowry to Norm Powell, who gives the Raps some nice breathing room there. Later, Powell picks off the pass from Porter Jr. and slams home 2 more. Toronto holds off a late rush to win 115-109 and pick up their 9th straight win. Colette Kennedy's back with her extended forecast. Now, you crunched all the numbers earlier in our broadcast showing this trend of above average temperatures. I wonder how long it's going to go for.
Yeah, it's going to go for a while yet, Mike, in terms of what I'm seeing in our long-range forecast, and even some extreme spikes, like, say, the temperature that we're going to see on Monday. Hang around for that. I've got the 5-day forecast coming up. Just know that on Friday, yeah, we're still looking at quite a bit of cloud cover and likely some flurries, especially into the afternoon hours. Some light precipitation coming through. Primarily, it looks like Saturday night or overnight into Sunday, but temperatures on the upswing with some southwesterly winds coming our way. Our daytime highs unofficially from earlier today, Windsor to 0, -5 for Barrie, and seeing temperatures in between through the GTA. Some of that cloud cover, yes, in place, but then into the afternoon with that trough moving through, that chance that we see some of these flurries. Again, accumulations just don't look that significant. In fact, they look less than, it looks even weaker than what it had earlier in the week when I was looking ahead. Now, as we go into Saturday, late day Saturday, the system pushes into the GTA, but it will reach southwestern Ontario before that. Saturday night into Sunday, into cottage country and north and west of the city, into the Dundalk Highlands, maybe 2 to 5 centimeters by the time we get into Sunday. There is the potential for some light accumulations, but otherwise, it's kind of that little bit of drizzly activity mixing with wet flurries that we see elsewhere. And Sunday, we do have that as that warm front passes through, that we're still into that light mix. But if we can see some clearing Sunday night into Monday, and it looks like we might get into that pocket with some clearer skies and southwesterly winds, that's when the temperature soars. To have warm temperatures and sun, we almost never seem to be getting that combination, right? Overnight tonight, a look at your lows for southwestern Ontario, a little bit of freezing drizzle, that risk there. 1 degree for your highs tomorrow, scattered flurries. Tonight, lows around -6 to -8 in the GTA. And a look at those temperatures, just hovering right around the freezing mark tomorrow afternoon. But I won't keep you in suspense any longer. There you go with a look at those temperatures. Monday could get even warmer than that in terms of what some of the models are showing. But boy, oh boy, that's going to be a nice one.
I will take that Monday, regardless of what the groundhog sees on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly, right? They would, 6 more weeks. It hasn't been much of a winter anyway.
No, thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
That's the name of this after-school youth group that got a special visit today from
the Chief of Police.
I'm Greg Ross. I'll have that story coming up.
The chief of police made a surprise visit to a very special Toronto after-school program today. Believed to Achieve is run by former boxer Spider Jones, and it's doing its part to try to build bridges between community leaders and underprivileged kids. Our Greg Ross was there.
For the past decade, Spider Jones has been trying to make life better for underprivileged kids in Toronto.
Because let me tell you something, down here in these areas, the lure of the streets is huge.
His after-school youth program, Believed to Achieve, operates out of an apartment building near Jane and Wilson. Jones is here almost every weeknight working with kids aged 7 to 18.
He's the best. He's the best. And he's friendly.
He's always joking around with you guys?
Yes.
Is he funny at least?
Yes.
What do you think of that guy right there?
I don't know. A madman.
In addition to being a role model and a friend, he provides them with the kinds of things they can't always get at home.
Well, we feed the kids
Every day.
every day.
And they also get some help with their schoolwork.
And if they're having problems with math or reading or writing, spelling anything, we mentor them because you don't want a young person to get disillusioned. And when you're having a tough time in school or at home, you become disillusioned.
But today was a little different, with the chief of police dropping in for a special visit.
Well, the main reason is that I'm here is to keep a check on Spider.
But also to build his own relationships with the kids.
It's critical that we do things to strengthen the relationships when there isn't a critical moment. A lot of people are used to police responding when there's a crisis. That's not really the time to develop and build relationships. It's those moments of calm.
Believe me, we have been working on that for years, building up a relationship with police officers.
Jones says the key is for community leaders to start engaging with underprivileged kids at a young age and then continue to support them right into adulthood.
You can light a flame, but you have to nurture that flame to keep it going.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, that's our newscast for tonight. Before we go, who doesn't like chocolate? Well, this weekend is the Winter Chocolate Show at the Enoch Turner Schoolhouse. And tomorrow on Metro Morning, guest host Farah Morali will speak to a man who leapt from the world of journalism to the world of chocolate. He's running his own business, and we'll hear all about that. And wish you can hear that and wish you tried out his samples tomorrow about 8:20. I'm sure none of those samples will be around by the time I get in later in the afternoon. Have a great evening. Good night.